Okay, solving harder systems. This should go on page 44 of your notebook. So this time it's harder because it's a parabola, but I don't need you to be intimidated by it. We can still do this. So we have y equals two equations. Since they both equal y, we can set them equal to each other. So x minus 1 squared plus 2 equals x plus 1. You want to get the complicated part alone first. So this x minus 1 squared, work on getting that alone. So we'll minus the 2 to the other side. X minus 1 squared equals, it's a coincidence that it came out to be x minus 1. Then you do not want to square root both sides. Look at this. When I get the square root of x minus 1, that is not helpful. We never put a square root over an x. So instead we're going to need to actually multiply out the x minus 1. And remember, that's an area diagram problem, right? That's x minus 1 times x minus 1. Multiply it out. And that part becomes x squared minus 2x plus 1. And it still equals the other side. Then remember, this is a quadratic. When it's got x squareds and x's in it, it's a quadratic, and we want to make it equal 0. X squared minus 3x plus 2 equals 0. Then we factor that. It's a quadratic. You could do quadratic formula. Maybe on the next one I'll do quadratic formula instead, but it is your choice. Multiplies to be 2x squared, adds to be negative 3x. So they both need to be negative, so negative x and negative 2x. That multiplies to be the top and adds to be the bottom. Put those inside the box. Factor the edges. So we are at x minus 1 times x minus 2 equals 0. 0 product property. Add the 1. Add the 2. And now we have the x's. But remember, we were solving a system. So now we need to go back and find the y's. Seems to me this equation would be the easiest one to find the y's. So we'll plug in 1. 1 plus 1, y equals 2. So the point 1 comma 2 is a solution. And then we'll plug in 2. 2 plus 1, y equals 3. The point 2 comma 3 is the other solution. Remember, the solution to a system is a point. And in this case, because it's a parabola and a line, we're going to have a parabola with a line going through it. So we end up with 2 points, right here and right here. Okay, let's try another one. Here's our next one. Remember, this is a video so that you can pause it whenever necessary. So if you need to go back to the other one, you could go back. Otherwise, maybe pause it right now and see if you can set up number 2. So it's a system and they're both equal to y, so I can set them both equal to each other. Then what do you do next? Pause it and do what you need to do next. You need to get that x plus 2 squared alone, so you should have added 3. Again, it's a coincidence that they're both x plus 2. It's the way I have to create these problems. They're actually harder than you think to create, and that's why that keeps happening, but that will not always happen. Then you need to do the x plus 2 times x plus 2. That's an area diagram problem. See if you can do that correctly. Pause the video. Here's what I got after I did the area diagram problem. Now you have a quadratic because it's got x squareds and x's in it. You need to move them all to the left, make it equal 0. See if you can get that equation correct. Pause your video. Moving everything to the left, I get this equation. You could do factoring if you'd like. I did say I was going to do quadratic formula this time. So a is the number in front of x squared, b is the number in front of x, and c is the constant. You do not plug in variables when you're doing quadratic formula. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. So this is negative 3 plus or minus. Everything squared is positive. Negative 4 times 1 times 2 is negative 8 all over 2. So this is negative 3 plus or minus 1, square root of 1, all over 2. But the square root of 1 is 1. So negative 3 plus 1 over 2, negative 3 minus 1 over 2. This is negative 2 over 2. This is negative 1. If I'm going too fast, pause it. This is negative 4 over 2, which is negative 2. I know x equals negative 1 and x equals negative 2 are my answers. Pause it. Find out what y should equal for each of those. These are my two solutions. This video is much less than 20 minutes. That's because you should pause it if you don't understand what's happening. Give yourself a chance to try it, etc. Okay, last one. Copy it down and set it up. I'm going to go much faster. I want you to try this on your own. Copy it down, set it up. There's the setup. Move the 1. Pause the video, move the 1. Multiply it out. X minus 3. Multiply it out on an area diagram. Make it equal 0. Okay, notice this time that the constant canceled out, which is totally fine. This is supposed to be easier. When you factor this, it's just GCF factoring. These both have an x that I can factor out. Divide by x and you just have x minus 4 left. Zero product property with the x. Zero product property with the x minus 4. X equals 0 and 4. See if you can do all the work to find the y's. There is my work for the y's. 0, 8, and 4, 0 are our solutions. Okay, this all needs to be copied onto page 44 of your notebook.